So my stepsister, apparently she had a big crush on the guy that I'm gonna marry. Well, it turns out that he is her boss. So she goes out of her way to sabotage my life, and I'm not going to put up with it. I mean, this is my love life, and I'll do what I want. So I have something coming to her, my evil stepsister. Life is full of unexpected twists, or more like unexpected shocks in my case. So, just when I thought I was finally about to get the fairy tale I dreamt of, it was all ruined. And that's not even the worst of it all. The worst part is that it was all ruined because of my own family. Well, to be more concise, by my own little sister. Stepsister, to be exact, and hey, I'm Jenna, 26 and female, and my stepsister Lillian, 24, just tried to ruin my wedding with the love of my life, Patrick. Let me start from the very beginning so that you can understand the dilemma that I'm in. I met Lillian for the first time when we were just teenagers, and my mother had just started dating Lillian's father, Oliver. Honestly, for a reserved and traumatized kid like me, it was a relief that my mother had finally found someone after my dad's death. My dad had died when I was just 8, and since then my mother had shut herself to the outside world until she met Oliver. So, as a kid who had grown up seeing my mom struggle emotionally, I was really happy to have Oliver in our lives. So, I even got along with him well. He treated me like his own daughter, and it just felt like he was the piece of the puzzle that our lives was missing. But there was still one piece that stuck out. Lillian. She had always been a troubled and bitter kid. I do understand her to turn out the way, since she had to witness her parents go through such a nasty divorce. Lillian's mother had cheated on Oliver, which was the reason enough for Oliver to file for a divorce, and after the nasty court case, Oliver won the custody of Lillian. He tried his best that Lillian does not bear the brunt of all this, but in spite of his many attempts, Lillian turned out to be a jealous and bitter kid. She was satisfied with life that she had with her father, so when my mother and I showed up, she had a hard time accepting us. She still got to the terms of accepting my mother, but me? She had treated me with nothing but jealousy her entire life. It was evident that she did not like me since the first time we met. She was jealous that her father treated me the same way he treated her. Jealous because she felt threatened by how the father's attention was divided when we came into the picture. Oliver tried his best to convince her that us being there would not change anything, but it fell on deaf ears. This upset Oliver and my mother since they thought that finally they had the perfect family. So I took it upon myself to bond with Lillian, and I even thought it was my responsibility to try to get along with her since she was 2 years younger than me. For a long time, I tried to get on her good side, but all of it was in vain. So finally, after some years, I gave up, and even Oliver and my mom had also come to terms with it by then. But I never hated Lillian. Even when she tried to create trouble in my life, I tried to forgive her, keeping her troubled childhood in mind. I didn't hate her even when she ruined my 18th birthday by bullying me, along with some of her mean friends and just tripping me into the birthday cake. She laughed at me that day, and still I forgave her. But all of this changed when I got to college and got into my first serious relationship. That's when I started hating Lillian. That's when I ran out of patience and all forgiveness I even held for her. Lillian had stolen my boyfriend of 10 months like all things dear to me. She had done so not because she fell in love with him. Of course not. She did so because she could not bear the fact that I had someone in my life and she did not. So, on my 22nd birthday, she gave me the worst possible gift. My boyfriend had not shown up to my birthday party, and neither did Lillian. When I tried contacting him, he ghosted me for weeks straight until I found him hanging out with Lillian in our home. As much as it bothered me that my boyfriend had left me for my stepsister, what bothered me more was that he left me without any explanation or closure. So that day, when I finally saw him after weeks, I went crazy. I started shouting insults and yelling at both of them. The only explanation I got was, what else could I expect? Instead of being apologetic for stealing my boyfriend, all that Lillian said was that I could not blame him since he has always knew who the better of us two was. Well, I was furious about how she could do this to her sister when Lillian answered that she never considered me a sister, just somebody that she had to tolerate since her father was married to my mother, someone she just perceived as the background of the house that she was living in. It was hurtful coming out of the mouth of the person I considered my little sister. You might call me stupid for thinking of her as a little sister after how she treated me, but that's just how I saw her since the day I met her. But what hurt me more was being insulted by the man I was crazy in love with. He started comparing me with Lillian, and I told me just all the ways that she was better than me. It broke my heart. More than my heart, it broke my spirit even. When I told all of this to Oliver and my mother, they were absolutely dumbstruck. I didn't expect them to do anything. I knew they wouldn't since Lillian was going through some health issues at the time, but I only wanted them to support my decision to move out of the house. So I would have done that the day I turned 18, but Oliver and my mother did not let me. You see, my mom could not bear me being separated from her because I was all she had of her past marriage. Me being the people pleaser that I am stuck around for my mother's sake even when things got worse for me. Well, but the day I found out that Lillian stole my boyfriend, I had to keep myself because, well, I couldn't tell anyone. I told them I wanted to move out, and though my mother was reluctant at first, she knew that this would be better for me. So I moved out, and since then I've been living on my own. I'm working hard at just creating a life that I've dreamt of. And I don't know, I guess that you can say I finally think that it's paying off. Yep, sure is. I'm a successful fashion designer now, guys. Now, with my chain of apparel, basically, flourishing with every passing day? My mom and Oliver were very, very proud of the day that I started my own store just when I was 25. But can you guess who was the unhappiest that day? Yeah, Lillian. But I've learned to ignore her. We do meet at family dinners and functions, but, other than that, I've completely cut all ties with her. I didn't even know what was going on with her until recently, so you can imagine my shock when she accused me of stealing her workplace crush 3 months back when I announced my engagement at a family dinner. Well, while Oliver and my mom were delighted I found myself a good man, Lillian could not hide the shock when she saw Patrick's picture on my phone. With me, it was, a huge ring on my finger as well. She threw a fit about how I'd stolen her longtime crush as revenge for her stealing my ex-boyfriend. I couldn't be more confused about what she was talking about. So guys, get this. Turns out that Patrick is the CEO of the company that Lillian works for. So basically, Patrick is Lillian's boss. I didn't know of this until the point when Lillian literally threw herself at me accusing me of ruining her potential romance with her workplace crush. You see, I met Patrick through one of our common friends last year, and we felt a connection since the first time that we met. So you can't blame me for falling in love with Lillian's boss because she had just been working for him for the past few months. I had no idea about him being her crush. I tried to convince Lillian that I did not steal her crush for some petty revenge, but she refused to believe anything that came out of my mouth. So, with that began her crazy attempts at sabotaging my wedding, which was 3 months after I announced my engagement. It all started with her simple attempt to get Patrick's family to dislike me, by sending them pictures of me partying like crazy and goofing around with my friends, but to her disappointment, Patrick's family didn't mind an outgoing daughter-in-law, and she could not create any trouble there. Her second attempt, well, that was even crazier as she tried to seduce Patrick. Well, obviously, when that didn't work, she tried to convince him that I was cheating. None of her tricks worked, so she took it more extreme when she burnt my wedding dress last week. I was furious, and I banned her from coming near my wedding or even my wedding preparations for that. Oliver also supported my decision to uninvite his daughter from the wedding, since he knew the extent to which his daughter could go to get her way. I know it was hard for her to support me against her own daughter, but I respect the man for doing the right thing. Though I heard that Lillian threw a crazy fit when she found out that Oliver was supporting me in this. She even tried to emotionally manipulate me, but it didn't work. It was fortunate for me that I had good connections in the fashion industry and got another wedding dress according to my likings within no time. I thought I was finally all set for my dream wedding, and with Lillian uninvited, I was a bit relieved that I could have the wedding of my dreams without an interruption. But I couldn't be more wrong because, guys, yesterday was my wedding and Lillian crashed it along with some people and thrashed the entire wedding venue, and Patrick and I could not believe our eyes when we saw the state that the venue had been left in. There was no way that we could even get married there, guys. Well, and my dream wedding? The venue was not suitable for even a birthday party. So without another venue available in such a short time, we had to postpone our wedding, and can you guess how furious I've been? See, Patrick, he's even been trying to calm me since yesterday, but all I wanted is to reach out to Lillian and make her pay for what she did. She has gone no contact with the whole family after she thrashed the wedding venue and ruined my wedding dress. So, this brings me to the reason why I'm posting here. As much as I would love to report Lillian's insanity and put her behind bars, I know Oliver would not like that. He knows that his daughter deserves to be taught a lesson, but he's not ready to see her in jail. And going against Oliver would only strain our relationship, which I can't afford at this stage. He's the only father I have known since my own biological father passed. He's supported me through a lot of things in life, and he is even one of the reasons why I was able to overcome the trauma of my father's death and be the person that I am today. So I can't go against him or hurt him. But then again, I can't let Lillian go. She took a little too far, and she deserves to be taught a lesson for all of that, so there's the dilemma. Well, that's why I'm here seeking help from you guys. I really do appreciate some advice on how I should deal with this. Should I report Lillian and risk my relationship with Oliver? Or, if not, what other options do I have to teach Lillian a lesson? Anything you guys could answer would be so grateful. Updates. Number 1. Hey guys, it's me. I'm back. Well, man, do I have some stuff for you. You might remember me as the girl whose stepsister accused her of stealing her crush and tried to ruin her wedding. So it's been a week since Lillian thrashed my wedding venue, and this last week has been absolutely crazy. But before I get into that, I would like to reply to a few comments I got on my original post. Firstly, thank you to the people who suggested ideas and show concern for me. Most of you suggested that I should report Lillian to the police. As much as I would like to do that myself, I still can't afford to lose my bond with Oliver because of it. I've talked to Oliver about it, and he's strictly against the idea of putting his own daughter behind bars. I don't even blame him. Lillian might all be evil, but she's still Oliver's blood, and it's only natural for him to protect her. So the plan was to report Lillian to the police was at a halt now, until what Lillian did this morning. But I will get to that soon. Now, to the people who were saying that me marrying Patrick might actually be my master plan to seek revenge on Lillian, like really? Why would someone go to the extreme level of marrying someone just to seek revenge? Come on, guys. I could have made my point just by dating Patrick. Moreover, Patrick and I were already dating when Lillian met him first, so in no way did I steal her crush, and as much as I would have liked it, in no way was the revenge for what she did to me. But something other than this hit me. Many people pointed out that I should have calmly talked to Lillian, as she might have had some anger issues because of her troubled childhood. As crazy as it sounds, this actually made me feel guilty, and I decided to give one last chance to Lillian to explain herself. But no sooner had I thought I should give another chance to Lillian than she proved that decision wrong and even convinced me that an evil girl like her deserves no mercy. So I was on my way to confront her when I found her talking to Oliver about me. You can't judge me for eavesdropping a bit when I heard my name out of her mouth in the most ruthless way possible. And to think that I was willing to forgive this woman is crazy. You won't believe what she told Oliver. So basically, from what I heard, Lillian's trying to convince Oliver to disown me. Yeah, that witch just literally tried to emotionally manipulate Oliver into convincing him that I'm the reason why she's dealing with anxiety. She talked to him about how she already had a troubled childhood, and she thought things might get better for her when she starts dating Patrick. But I'd stolen Patrick from her, as I could not let even one good thing happen to her. I just can't believe how crazy all of this is. And you know the craziest part, guys? Oliver might be falling into a trap, because the way he replied to her, it seemed as if he was convinced of me stealing his daughter's longtime love. I couldn't believe it. Oliver told Lillian that he'd look into the matter and would make sure that she didn't suffer because of me. I was shocked, so all of it took Lillian with some fake tears and emotional manipulation to get Oliver on her side. I really thought I had my family's support by now, and that was my strength. That was something that kept me sane even when I was overcome with rage, but now all of it seems to be, well, shattering. This conversation between Oliver and Liam happened this morning, and since then I've been trying to reach Oliver to talk to him and tell him that all Lillian's doing is trying to emotionally manipulate him and get him against me. But I haven't been able to talk to Oliver as he's out for some urgent work meetings. So now, I'm waiting for Oliver to get back home so that I can talk to him about all this mess and get him back on my side. I still can't believe I was feeling guilty about being so harsh towards Lillian all this time, while she was the one who was just plotting against me. I might not have wanted revenge in the past when Lillian stole my boyfriend, but now I'm not letting her go without giving her what she deserves. And with Oliver possibly against me, the plan to report her to the police might be back on the table, as that ought to serve her right. And for those of you who were asking about my wedding, we've postponed the wedding by 2 months, as that's when another slot for the wedding venue Lillian thrashed about was available. I was okay with getting married even in a small beach house after all that mess, but Patrick is adamant on giving me a wedding of my dreams, and that's why we're waiting for another 2 months to get married. I hope there's no mess this time. I'll keep you guys updated on the post. Update number 2. Hey guys, it's me, and yes, I'm back with another update, sooner than I thought I would. It's just been a few weeks since I heard Lillian trying to convince Oliver to disown me, and so much has happened since then. Let me fill you in. Well, remember I told you how Oliver seemed to actually be convinced of it? Well, guess what? I was right. Oliver was not only allowing Lillian to emotionally manipulate him, but he was also giving her the power of distance, of me from Oliver. Though he did not completely believe what came out of Lillian's mouth, he told me that he seemed to have no other options other than keeping me at a distance from himself, and just automatically from my mother as well. So when I talked to Oliver about the same, he said as guilty as he feels about his daughter's actions, he doesn't have a choice but to let me go, as Lillian gave him the choice to choose between herself and me. And Oliver just could not leave her all alone. He tried to comfort me by saying that I was the stronger one here, and I'd still have Patrick's support, but she would be all alone if Oliver left her. Well, this troubled my mother the most, by according to her, she also had no other option but to support her husband's decision, as I was soon about to start my new life and was already an independent woman. Oliver did not exactly disown me, but it was also clear that he wanted me to be out of their lives, for good, without any resistance. That's what the old me would have done. Trying to please the people around, I would have left quietly, but the new me was full of senses of revenge, and it was refusing to let go. So now that I was no longer scared of severing my ties with Oliver because of Lillian, since the damage had already been done, I ended up reporting Lillian to the police and she was arrested. As you can imagine, Oliver was furious with me. He refused to talk to me and even kicked me out of the house, and what hurt me the most was what my mother was just a bystander there. It was clear that she had picked her husband over her daughter, but I didn't let it affect me much. I already had a place of my own and a supportive fiancé by my side. But my plan of getting Lillian behind bars did not work out so well. It never gave me the satisfaction that I thought it would. as no sooner was Lillian arrested than she was bailed out by Oliver. Though they paid me some compensation for it, it didn't matter to me much, 'cause the money was never an issue for them and neither was it for me. So now, here I am, trying to come up with anything I could use against Lillian. Patrick's helping me through it. We're trying to find anything that might help me seek revenge against her. We've been doing a little digging into Lillian's life, and see, I've been looking into any scandal in her personal affairs, while Patrick is looking through her work files, just trying anything that we might use against her, and we think we might have found it. But you know what? It's too soon to tell. Update number 3. Hey guys, I know it's already been a month since my last update. A lot of you were curious about what happened next and if we succeeded in finding anything against Lillian. Well, I'll get to it soon, but I'd also like to apologize for taking so long. But you can't blame me since I was very busy with my wedding preparation. Yeah, you heard it right. We got married. And this time without any interruption from my toxic stepsister. It was not a dream wedding, as I'd imagined, because my family was not there by my side. I'd invited them, but turns out Oliver was still angry with me because I had filed a report against Lillian. I was happy that Lillian wasn't there, but it's still hurting that even my own mother did not show up to her own daughter's wedding. I guess that's how love and mistaken loyalties can blind you. Well, enough of all this emotional mess. Remember how I told you that we were digging into Lillian's life to find something that we could use against her? Well, it took us a little longer since we were busy with the wedding preparation. But guess what? We hit the jackpot. While Patrick was looking through Lillian's work files, it didn't make sense to him that her qualifications did not match the profile she was working with. It looked like it was suspicious to him, and he was surprised that the company had missed it for so long. But it all made sense when we found out the reason why the blunder even happened. See, Lillian had shut the only man who would catch this mistake by making her way into his bed. Yeah, Lillian had slept with the HR manager to get this job in the first place, and it was the craziest thing I could have discovered. Patrick was so shocked that this was the case. We only got the HR manager to confess to his crime yesterday, and Patrick fired him from his position on the spot. And just this morning, Patrick had sent the letter of determination to Lillian. Well, now I can't wait for all the drama to unfold. Update number 4. Hey guys, it's been a week since my last update and a lot of crazy things happened this week, but I'm glad they did because I finally feel like Lillian's on the way to get all that she deserves. Firstly, as imagined, Lillian lost it when she found out that she's been fired by Patrick. She showed up at Patrick's office and made a huge scene there, trying to talk to him and convince him to hire her again. She claimed that the HR guy was lying, and she ought to be given a second chance. And in the most desperate of attempts, she asked Patrick to give her a chance, as she was, family, since he was her brother-in-law. It was crazy how the only time she considered me a family member was when she needed something, But Patrick wasn't stupid. He got her kicked out of the company property, and Lillian was also blacklisted. She knew this would be fatal to her career. So this was not all. 2 days back, I bumped into my mother in the supermarket, and while she was busy buying party supplies for Lillian's birthday, I was surprised that Lillian was still getting the princess treatment at home after getting fired from her workplace. For sleeping with HR. So I tried to get a little gossip from my mother about what was going on in the house. She was very disinterested in talking to me, yet she replied half-heartedly that everything was okay. It still just didn't add up, so I pried a little more and asked my mother how she thought Lillian's job was going. It finally made sense to me about what was going on when my mother told me there was nothing new about it, so guys, get this. It turns out that Lillian had not told Oliver or my mother about how she had been fired due to her misconduct at the office. Yeah, exactly. Not only that, but for the past week, she's been following her routine, even going to her workplace all dressed up. Of course she was putting on an act, since she could not tell anyone at the house that she's fired. That's why they were all still willing to throw a grand party for her 25th birthday. But as it was clear, invitations did not mean much to me, since I wasn't invited when it came to our family. since Lillian just showed up at my wedding after being uninvited from it. So it shouldn't hurt when I show up uninvited. You can't blame me for the gate crashing since I only had the intention to help Lillian in my mind. Well, it must be very hard for her to disclose such sensitive information to her family. Lillian's birthday party was the last night, and there, in front of her family and 100 other guests, including Lillian's friends, I exposed her for the cheat and liar that she is. Though Lillian tried to stop me from getting anywhere near the microphone, I still succeeded, and announced how she slept with her, person at work in a way to get to the position that she wanted. People were shocked, and most of all, the news affected Oliver. He was furious. The disappointment on his face was clear. So, he couldn't even meet my eyes after I made the announcement, and clearly the realization had struck him that he had made the wrong choice. After all the mess I made there, I left as smooth as I could, leaving people gossiping, but the only person my eyes were focused on was Lillian. Yeah, the shock on her face when she realized what just happened. She didn't even move an inch since I made the announcement and was still intact when I left. Last night, my mother called me. Of course, she finally remembered that her daughter existed, but I, more than anything, appreciated that call because she told me that Oliver was distraught and he was not even talking to Lillian in spite of Lillian's desperate pleas. My mother told me that Oliver might be actually contemplating disowning Lillian, but she's not too sure as Oliver is conflicted with his own mind. Whatever Oliver decides, it's clear that in Oliver's eyes, that mistake Lillian made is beyond any emotional manipulation, and it's beyond redemption. So, guys, now it's time for me to take a back seat and just enjoy Oliver's wrath that he's going to be unleashing on Lillian. Some of you might call me cruel for what I did, for the sense of pleasure I'm getting in this, but after all she did to me, she deserves it.